Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Simon, bringing you more spoilers for Magic the Gathering's latest set, Aether Revolt. Today's video isn't going to be particularly long because we're only going to be talking about a single card, but this one card is jam-packed full of flavor. You know that little thing that's been growing lately? What's it called? Oh yeah, the Gatewatch. A group of Planeswalkers banding together to protect the multiverse from interplanar threats. Well, it looks like they'll be gaining a new member with Aether Revolt. Taking his oath to serve the multiverse, this is Oath of Ajani. Legendary enchantment for Selesnyan colors. When Oath of Ajani enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Planeswalker spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Guys, this is some freaking spicy cardboard here. As far as Oath cards go, I personally feel like this is one of the strongest out there. Oath cards always have an enter effect, then a persistent effect that impacts other Planeswalkers you'll play throughout the game. Oath of Ajani reducing the cost of Planeswalkers by 1 can set up some really great early plays, especially if it's played turn 2. Turn 3 Gideon and Standard's gonna be tough to handle. While I feel this is an amazing effect, especially for Super Friends, it could be more difficult to justify in Standard because of its green-white cost. Usually you can already find ways to ramp mana on the cheap, so Oath of Ajani would most likely be played much later, but that isn't exactly a bad thing. Its ETB effect is pretty amazing too, and can definitely benefit from a more well-developed board later in the game. I think of it as a cheaper but more time-sensitive glorious anthem. At the right time, giving your entire board a 1/1 counter can be devastating, but it's still a one-shot deal, so you gotta pick your moment appropriately. Even so, you can still set things up nicely for this charitable feline to share its bounty to your other creatures. I just hope they like catnip and battle axes. Anthropomorphic cat puns aside, why do I like this oath over the other oaths we've seen? Well, not only are both of its effects relevant and strong at a relatively low cost, but it's also playable in 2 different ways. Like I said, you could either try to play it early to get a tempo Planeswalker out, or save it to buff your board, using the Unchosen path as a secondary perk depending on the deck you put it in. I don't know, I just never thought any of the other oaths were strong. Gideon's was okay, and so was Liliana's, but when compared to Oath of Ajani, they just look awful. And that's basically my first impression of this card. Fairly strong, and certainly one of the best oaths to date. Maybe playable in Standard with Gideon, but certainly interesting in Super Friends. And as with literally every other oath card, not so hot and limited, although still better than the rest. Give 2, 3 creatures +1/+1, and it's worth it in my opinion. Yet, Oath of Ajani isn't spicy just because it's a relatively good card. Think about it. It's a new Planeswalker joining the Gatewatch, and a high-profile one at that. Now, when we saw Ajani returning in Kaladesh, many of us already saw him joining the Gatewatch. The organization is just so aligned with his own personal beliefs, so why wouldn't he? I mean, for like an 8-foot-tall buff Leonin with a badass double-headed axe, he surprisingly doesn't want to kill anyone, at least not anymore. And what's Gideon always yelling at Liliana about? Killing people! See? They're bound by their compassion and mercy. Match made in MTG heaven. This card also screams flavor. It's just so Ajani, if that's even a thing. The art of this Planeswalker has been on point in Aether Revolt so far. He just looks so dang majestic, and his oath is of no exception. Not to mention, it seems like he's been hitting the gym. That's a 6-pack I think kids would be jealous of. Outside of the art, Ajani's actual oath seems to fit the character perfectly. Until all have found their place, I will keep watch. Probably speaking upon his own struggle to find a home, and losing others who've experienced similar feelings. Elspeth. Anyway guys, those are just some of my initial thoughts and feelings on Oath of Ajani. Let me know what you guys think about this card and what it means for the game and its story in the comments below. How will you utilize the spoken Oath of Ajani, and do you like him joining the Gatewatch? If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, make sure you hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest MTG spoilers and lore. As always guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.